All right, boys and girls, that season is finally over. We wind up losing to the Buffalo Bills at home in Buffalo. Bills were home. Jets lose 27-10 in a game that was incredibly boring. Anyone who watched this, oh geez, there's like let's start off by saying there is no way in hell that CBS should have switched to the Jets Bills game while Big Ben in his final game is going down the field in overtime to try and win it with a field goal. And it was like 3rd and 7 or some stuff when they cut away from it. Ridiculous. I don't know what the NFL's got to do to figure out these TV contracts, but man, when you're at like this point in the season, there's no reason not to delay a game. Figure it the hell out. Oh, all right. So, thoughts on the game? Not very competitive. Like, I shouldn't say that. It was competitive. Thank God the Jets MVP is the Bills punter or the wind, however you want to word it. Just listen to some of these stats. So the Jets had 9 sacks of Zach Wilson. 9 sacks. When they were at 7 sacks, that was the most since 2019. I have no idea where 9 sacks ranks on all of this, but it's probably in the not so good area of things. In terms of passing yards, I've never seen a stat like this. Because of the 9 sacks that Zach Wilson had, we had a grand total of 5 passing yards. 5. I can count them on my hand. One hand. That's insane. And look, the Jets didn't have a lot of their horses. You're without every single wide receiver. You're without a bunch of your linemen. Zach's under pressure, under duress the entire time. And that Bills team's good. I picked them before the season to win the Super Bowl, so it would not shock me if that's how it wound up kind of falling. Jets only had 48 rushing yards, and Zach Wilson accounted for like 24 of them. Half. That's insane. That's brutal. We were pushing people around for the last few weeks, and we just had no push. Shocked. Absolutely stunned that it was as dead as it was. They basically said, hey, you're not going to run on us. Zach Wilson, you're going to try and throw the ball on us with like no one. So have fun. That's how I got this. That's what I got out of this game. Let's see. Did I have any notes written down? I think I had some. I was writing down some beforehand. And then these were the notes for the game. That's how short this game was. Bills go down the field for a touchdown. Whatever. They went right down the field on the first drive of the game. I didn't think the touchdown to Diggs at the beginning was actually a touchdown. And it doesn't make sense to me why they would have overturned it on the field and then go to a review and then say, I think they said it stands, meaning they didn't have enough information to do it. It's like, what? You called it incomplete on the whatever. Doesn't matter. Man had his first blocked punt since 2016. I thought it looked like Ty Johnson missed a block. I think they said somewhere it was Seraldine. Could be wrong on that. Mims with a false start. Get this guy off the Mims is like his best value is as a trade target. Not even trade target. Sorry. Mims' best quality right now is as a throw-in in a trade. Like, hey, we're going to cut this guy anyway. Do you want to take a look at him before we cut him? That's basically Mims' value to this team right now. As far as Zach Wilson's performance, look, the whole offense played bad. Zach played bad. Running game played bad. Receivers played bad. Keelan Cole had a really nice touchdown. Like, that was a sharp pass. That was a missile. He had to throw it like that because was it Hyde that was coming down like screaming, almost had an interception like a foot and a half away or so. Hell of a throw. Hell of a run by Keelan Cole to get it into the end zone. And that was the duration of our good plays. That was everything. I just put my Zach Wilson every throw out. So you guys can go watch that if you want. But I also put out my Zach Wilson highlights, which actually drop in 16 minutes. 8:30 that video comes out. I took two plays from this whole game. The touchdown and like it was like the next time the Jets had the ball, Zach scrambled for like I think it was 20 yards on like a 3rd and 23 or a 2nd and 23, whatever it was. Ugh. Tell me about it. All right. So I want to kind of talk to you guys a little bit. I want to get some thoughts overall. Rookie season for Zach. Now that everything's in the books, how do we feel? If I'm going through everything, I'm kind of thinking, all right, letter grade, I'm thinking C. I think is fair. I think anyone who's looking back on the season, if you had said this is what we were going to get from Zach Wilson, you'd be pretty disappointed. I will say it was trending up at the end. From beginning of the season to now, I very much like where the Jets are. From a quarterback standpoint, like I think Zach is showing growth, and I do think he can and will be better next year. That being said, I think C is a fair grade for him. He really cut down the turnovers the second half of the season. He became more accurate with the ball, similar to how we saw kind of in the preseason, where he would just snap the ball and rip it to a guy. I would say that we saw growth in his at the line of scrimmage type play. So whether it's rushing to the line of scrimmage to catch guys, multiple like 12 men on the field, or to run to the line of scrimmage to try and catch them with a hard count, something along those lines. That's sort of where I saw a lot of value. And then him just diagnosing the early stages of defense. He was still tricked. He got tricked on the Buccaneers play at the end of the game when he switched to the QB sneak instead of the end around. Look, overall, C is probably as good as you can ask for Wilson. I would say that's probably as high as most of the rookies, except for maybe Mac Jones. Like maybe you put him a bit higher. Maybe Mills is higher on some people's list too. Zach, I think, had the least to work with any of these quarterbacks. I think by a long shot. Rookie head coach, rookie offensive coordinator, decimated by injuries, offensive line beat to hell like this, and just in kind of a tough division anyway. I didn't expect the Patriots to be as good as they were. The Bills, I expected it. Dolphins, I guess this is sort of where I expected them to kind of land around that 9 and did they finish 10-17? Just 10-7, or did they finish 9-8? I don't know what they finished, but they finished out pretty good. Bright notes. Let me pull this off the screen. Bright side of things, we may have found a kicker. Piñeiro's kicking pretty well. He doesn't have the strongest leg, but he made a 49-yarder today with help from the wind. So I would bring him back, let him compete with Amendola, and just let the best guy kick. I would stick with Piñeiro until he starts giving you a reason not to stick with him. He went, 8 for 8 or 9 for 9 to close out the season. The only miss he had was an extra point. So not all that bad. Now, this is when the fun begins. This is my favorite part of Jets season because our seasons always suck. I can finally get excited for it. The Jets now own the number 4 and the number 10 pick in the NFL draft. So I want to hear who you guys want to sort of target position-wise, player-wise. It could be anything. I would say for me, God, it's disappointing. We had the 7th pick from Seattle. Seattle winds up winning, so it falls all the way down to 10. So without going into it too much, I do think Hutchinson, Thibodeau, and Neal are the top 3 players off the board, leaving the Jets with, maybe scratching your head a little bit. I don't want to go after Hamilton. If he's a generational player and you want to go that route, I don't love it. I could understand the rationale, but I would go with Karlaftis at number 4. You get your edge rusher opposite Carl Lawson, and you're set for the next however many years, assuming Lawson, continues on beyond these 2 years that we have him for, or 2 additional years we have him for. And then at number 10, I am probably looking at Jameson Williams, Treylon Burks, a wide receiver. I mean, look, we were decimated. No shot to compete at all. I think you go out there, you get your quarterback, the best weapon in the league, or best weapon in the draft. I don't think any receiver goes before the Jets pick at 10. So I think we're going to have our pick of whoever we want. So something to consider for sure. Angelo jumps in with a super chat. Angelo says, Jets are 4th all-time in points given up in a season with 504. 32nd ranked defense. I'm shocked it was as close as it was with the 32nd ranked defense for tonight. That was I shouldn't say shock. The punter really helped us out a bit, but yeah, not good. Lots of bad football being played by the New York Jets. I will say this: the defense next year, I think we will see a tick up, but I think we are still going to be pretty bad on defense next year, even getting Carl Lawson back and bringing in some additions, because I think we're going to try and round out some of the offense. And then I don't mind losing by way of defense still, if that makes sense. I want to be more competitive. I'm hoping like a 7-10 season next year would be pretty nice, all things considered. Blitz Crew, thank you for the super chat. Says Mims, he didn't show anything this season, still on his rookie deal, was really sick starting the year. See if he can bounce back. Can't do worse. He can't do worse, but like the Jets could do a lot better. Like Blitz, I'm all excited. I was all excited for Denzel Mims. I was 100% on this guy, and I am totally off. I don't think the coaching staff wants any part of him. I don't even think Mims really wants to be here. I think he's kind of like just sort of had it because the fans have been giving him hell. The media's been giving him hell. The coaches seemingly have been giving him hell. You just can't get out of his own way. I don't know what happened. This guy was what I thought was a first-round talent at wide receiver that just completely fell apart. I think his issue is between his own ears. I don't know. I'm not sure what happens with Denzel Mims, but I do think this is probably his last season in New York, whether he's cut or maybe a trade. Maybe. Although if what's his face, Matt Rule winds up getting canned, I don't know if that has happened yet or if it's going to happen. I would imagine he's probably, that's the most likely area for him to go back and reunite with his old head coach from Baylor in college. Neil over on Facebook says, we need to fire that defensive coordinator. No. I'm going to make a video about this. I shouldn't say really. I don't want to fire Jeff Ulbrich because the dude had nothing to work with this year. Literally everyone got hurt that we brought in. We're switching from a 3-4 to a 4-3, and we brought in 4 guys to help. Curry, Lawson, Joyner, Blair, and all 4 missed like the entirety of the year. Blair played like the most of anyone, but like even still, like minuscule amount. Ugh. Not good. I would say it's bad juju to fire an offensive or a defensive coordinator in a year that you haven't devoted any resources to defense. Like 2 off seasons in a row, you've not spent a dime on defense, and you've not given away, but you traded away, which were the right move, Leonard Williams and Jamal Adams. I don't know. You guys are saying Rule is gone. Is he actually gone, or like is that not true yet? We'll see. Let's see. Zachary Burner says, what about Deshaun Watson trade? Who is getting him? I think Miami is getting him. I think he winds up settling out of court, and then he is traded before the draft. That's where I see this kind of headed. What did I see? Tom Lange says, honestly, anything less than 500 next year is not an option. So that would be what, 9-8 is the floor for you then? I don't know about that. That's a pretty sharp jump. I would say between 7-10 and 10-7 is where I see the Jets. Like high end 10-7, but 7. I would like to see if I could get 7-10 with competitive play, and we're like in playoff conversation end of November, beginning of December. I'm okay. I think that's a win. Whatever. Got to know your got to set your expectation. You don't want to be saying, we got to go, at least 9-8. I feel like that's kind of a pretty far-fetched thing to ask after seeing how much help we kind of need. Shiba Indy says free agent targets, wide receiver Calvin Ridley, not a free agent, gonna have to trade for him. Tight end Dalton Schultz, I like that a lot. That would be the top player I think I would look to target. Tight end from Dallas. Safety Jesse Bates from Cincinnati. I think they bring him back. They have a lot of cap space. I'd be surprised not that they don't do that. And then Reed, I believe the Saints safety, or not, sorry, not Saints safety, Texans safety, and then or Marcus Williams, the Saints safety is what you're saying. I like Marcus Williams a lot. I don't know if Joe Douglas spends that much money on the safety position. It feels like, based on how he's handled May and Adams, it doesn't seem like an overly high valued position for him. I would like to see us bring back Joyner, Ashton Davis, and then maybe draft a safety in the draft, like second, third, fourth round, somewhere in there, and then bring in some extra help in free agency. But I don't need to go crazy spending on safety right now. We'll see. Let's see. What else are you guys talking about? Braden says 8-8-1. I guess that's how you get it, right? 8-8-1 would be how you wind up with 500. Talking about the draft, Hamilton and Ojabo, or the O-line. From what I've heard, Ojabo is not Ojabo. Every time I say that name, someone says they're not pronouncing it right. I've seen it and heard it said a bazillion times. I have no idea how to pronounce it. Ojabo. I don't think the Jets go this route. From what I heard, Ojabo is more of a 3-4 outside linebacker, kind of a guy standing up. I don't think that's where they go with that then. I do like him a lot. I think he's got a knack for stripping the ball. Hamilton, I understand wanting to do it, but I don't think I would want to. Safety inside the top 10, like this guy better be like game-changing elite safety to justify that kind of selection. Sauce Gardner and Williams. I'm not taking Sauce Gardner at 4. Get the hell out of here. But I do like both of them. I like them a lot. Blitzkrieg drops in with another super chat, says, I want interior offensive lineman, safety, cornerback, tight end, linebacker for day 1 and 2 picks. Thoughts on Pinnock at safety? I'm fine with Pinnock as like an emergency safety. I don't know if I want him there full time as the starter. As far as your top 4 or top 5 picks, right? Because it's round 1, 2, and 3. Interior offensive lineman, safety, cornerback, tight end, linebacker. It would depend on how free agency goes for me. Now that Godwin and Gallup are both out with torn ACLs, I would definitely put wide receiver in that mix. And I would put it ahead of safety. I would put it ahead of corner. And I'd put it probably on par maybe with linebacker. I would look – I like interior offensive line. Like, for me, if I could go maybe Karlaftis at number 4. At number 10, you look at Jamison Williams, Treylon Burks, and then maybe I wouldn't be opposed to getting back up into the first for one of the linebackers. Nakobe Dean is filthy. Like, if they wanted to make Nakobe Dean one of our selections, guy's an animal. I would have no problem with that. But without trades or anything, I'd go edge, receiver, and then I'm probably looking tight end in Trey McBride, and a linebacker in the second, and then maybe interior offensive line like Patterson, the center from Notre Dame, in the third. That's where I think the value in like, say, center is in the second, third round, as opposed to Linderbaum at the top of the draft, based on what we kind of have going on. Let's see, Nose Kills. Where'd you go, Nose Kills? Nose Kills drops in with a super chat, says, might ask this again on Tuesday to get all 3 opinions. You restart the season with week 1 roster, but current Zach, what's the win-loss record at week 18? Interesting. Do we say he plays the same amount of games, or do we pretend he plays all the games? Because I'm not so sure he has I guess if you have him now, he probably does what Mike White did against the Bengals. Because Mike White he dumped it off a lot. I would say, unless he, so what are we, 4-13 is what we finished the season. I would say if you have Wilson now and everything at the start of the season stays the same, like maybe no Lawson, but you have like not the decimated injuries that you had at the end of the season, I would say the Jets probably get to 6 wins. That would be my guess. Maybe it's an additional 2 wins based on no additional talent coming in. We dropped a ton of balls, wide receiver wise. But this is a good question. This is interesting. I'd like to hear Matt and Greenbean's thoughts on this as well. I would say 6-11 would be where the Jets would sit if you had like sophomore season Zach Wilson at the start of rookie season Zach Wilson. So, hope that answers your question. I think it does. James says, would love if Treylon Burks in the second round if he's there. I think he winds up going like way higher. Like I think him and Williams wind up being the 2 highest wide receivers grade, at least from what I'm looking at for what I want the Jets. I would say Williams, Burks, London. Those are the 3 receivers in my like very early on look at the wide receiver position in the draft. Those would be the 3 I'd like to go. Let's see. Ryan Thompson says Derek Stingley has fallen to number 14 on Pro Football Focus's big board. He should. I don't think he should be in the top 5 like he was, basically the entirety of the season. I would say he should go much further down. Not much further, but I think he's maybe in the conversation of the top 3 cornerbacks. I would take Sauce Gardner before I took him, for sure. And I don't even, not that I don't like Sauce Gardner, I do. I don't want cornerback that high. So we'll see. Jets need 3+ seconds of protection more than anything. Doesn't matter who your weapons are. If your quarterback's on his back, more than a horror. I like that. Look, a lot of the sacks over the course of this year, I shouldn't say a lot, but there is a large portion that are probably on Zach Wilson. Realistically, he holds the ball way too long. I mean, it's awesome. He's elusive, and that's where the big plays come from. But you kind of have to live and die by that play style. Like Brett Favre, gunslinger mentality. You're going to live and die by the interception. Unfortunately, that's a byproduct of that style of play. Same thing with Zach Wilson. It's the same thing you saw with Russell Wilson, the same thing you saw with Deshaun Watson. You're going to see a lot more sacks with guys that hold onto the ball longer to get those big plays just because of, trying to evade sacks and holding the ball too long. We do need more time, but Zach needs to get the ball out faster too. So I think receivers getting separation would help a lot. Like, we had no one. We had Crowder for the first quarter of this game, and then he was gone. Yeah, not good. This is something I've heard multiple people say. Jameson Williams' route running is limited. That's okay. The dude's like, he reminds me, dude, he's just like elite fast. This guy's going to run like a 4.3 at the combine. And at 6'3", I mean, it sucks because the last 6'3" receiver that ran a 4.3, we're already getting rid of in Denzel Mims. But man, this guy's fast. Really, really fast. I do think Burks he's not going to run as fast. I think he's in the 4.4 range or so, maybe 4.5, but he's got a slightly bigger frame, and the dude's like got a wingspan that's enormous. That's where I would go. But I don't think Jameson Williams' route running is going to be an issue. Square-headed Jets fan, thank you for the super chat, brother. Says Hamilton seems like a stud, but I don't think Douglas drafts a safety in round 1. Think you must draft offensive line and best defensive player available. Oh God, I don't know where I want to go with this. I would love to trade one of our 2s for Calvin Ridley. That's really what it comes down to. If everything is like, if you could work out the best case scenario, it's Ridley is healthy and fine and ready to come back, and they're looking to move him. And other teams are afraid that he might walk away, and the Jets send a second-round pick for him. That's how I would love to handle the wide receiver position, but I think that's probably pretty far-fetched to have happen. That leads me to believe I think wide receiver should be our top option in the draft. I think not number 4, but number 10. I think it's realistic. I wouldn't have a problem if you wanted to trade down from number 4. That's right up. Karloftis and trade down are kind of right there with me, right, 1A, 1B, because I think if you can move back, maybe convince Washington at number 11 that you're looking to trade out with the Panthers, the Falcons, someone of that sort of magnitude to go get their quarterback. Washington wanting to jump in front of the Giants, even though they say they're sticking with Daniel Jones, I don't know if I necessarily believe it. I think number 4 should be open for business. 100%. I think we can work our magic enough where we can convince teams that the Giants could potentially take a quarterback, and it's to their benefit to trade out with us because we have 2 first-round picks. So we'll take, maybe slightly less than the Texans would at number 3, or any other team that would look to trade out. So I would not be. I do think best edge rusher and either offensive line or wide receiver. So I'm sort of on the same base with you, Squarehead, but not entirely. Alessandro says O-line looked horrible all season. They looked awful at the beginning of the season, and then they got together, and like the back half of the season, fantastic. Today's game, have no idea where that came from. It was like the worst showing that we've seen in a very long time. Now you're also on your third string left tackle, your backup center. You wind up losing Morgan Moses towards the tail end of the game. Like Zach was getting beat up. But I do think that there's positive. There's positive there. Like I like Becton coming back. I like AVT. I like Connor McGovern, but I would add a center in the draft to kind of compete. I would bring back LDT at right guard, and then I would move Fant over to right tackle or Becton over to right tackle, whatever you see fit. John Perez says Linderbaum with the 10th pick. Dalton Schultz is a must. I would be okay with Linderbaum at the 10th pick if Joe Douglas says, hey, offensive lineman, let's get our fatties. Let's put them all up front. Just roll with it. I'm fine with that. I do think the value with offensive linemen is that their contracts, especially on the interior offensive line, like guards are getting $15-ish million a year roughly. I think Brandon Scherf got the franchise tag for like 16 or 17 million. I could be wrong, but they're, contract wise, 15 million's right around okay. Center, I believe the top center is probably around 12 million or so. Again, much better than say maybe other positions. So when you got to think about re-signing guys, because remember, you're going to have left tackle, left guard, center. Now you're re-signing. You're putting a ton of money on that offensive line. I'm not against it, but just realize you're not going to be able to spend it on some other players if you really go heavy there. I like Linderbaum. Did you guys see the play of him hustling down the field? Like, I don't know what this guy's going to run in the 40, but it's like really impressive for someone his size. And Dalton Schultz, tight end has been the biggest thorn in our side. We need a big tight end, really, really good tight end in the draft and in free agency. I think that's what this offense is missing more than anything. We do need an additional wide receiver, but I think tight end would immensely help this team. Let's see. So here's an interesting one. Let's see. What you saying? What you super saying? Drake London is 6'5", is 6'4", both. Burks is 6'4". Drake London 6'5", Burks 6'4". Both are huge beasts. Jamison Williams is explosive. All three would be amazing at 10 perfect. Williams, him with Moore and Davis would be unstoppable. Williams, if you get him and he instantly becomes your deep threat and he's just stretching the field week in, week out, Elijah Moore is going to be able to do whatever he wants underneath. And a possession receiver like Corey Davis is going to feast as well. So I'm definitely all in on that. And if you want your big-bodied red zone target to be your tight end, no problem. No problem at all. I'd have zero issues with that. What else you guys talking about in the chat? Your banner across the bottom is from last week, Ryan. Oops. Thanks for letting me know. I appreciate it. I'll hide it. Bam. See? Sorry. So what happens when you're editing just before jumping on a live stream. I literally like that's why I'm late because I'm uploading everything. I was like, I want these to come out while I'm like live, so they're doing their thing. But I appreciate it, Ryan. Strong name. John Perez says ranch or blue cheese, bone in or boneless. I'm definitely ranch over blue cheese for sure. That's a non-question for me. I don't mind blue cheese, but ranch is definitely a lot better. Bone in or bone out, it depends on the type of chicken, I guess. I would say if I'm trying to not get sticky, boneless. If I don't have a problem, you have to eat the thing with chicken wings. You got to eat it with one hand. You cannot eat wings with two hands because then you got two gloppy hands. Can't do that. Eat with one hand. You can actually eat a wing with one bite. It's actually impressive. I learned how to do it. Put the whole thing in your mouth. You twist the part where it kind of connects, how it's kind of like this bone. You twist like the far end of it in your mouth, and you just pull, and you drag your teeth across it, and it takes all the meat off of it. Don't believe me? Try it. It blew my mind the first time I saw that happen. I was like, wow, that is very nice. Antonio, what would you give up for an AJ Brown? For AJ Brown in a trade with Tennessee, he would pair so well with Elijah Moore, and the chemistry. Zach Wilson would have insane numbers. I love AJ Brown. I don't think for a minute they would be looking to move him though. So sorry, not happening. Do you know any notable picks by JD when he was in Philly? I don't know any notable picks because he was the VP of player personnel, so I don't know if I'm sure he had a very strong influence on things, but he wasn't making the picks. That was Howie Roseman. I would say I would look at the way they handled the tackle position. While Joe Douglas was there, they wound up taking they had Jason Peters, they had Lane Johnson, and they still wound up drafting Andre Dillard in the first round as a tackle. So I think that might be a tip of the hand, possibly, if you like Icky at the top of the draft, or if you like Neal or Cross or someone like that at the tackle position, maybe that's the route you go. That's kind of it's interesting, right? Like I don't know if he'd spend a top 10 pick on it. Like maybe that's another year or so, but we'll see. Let's see. What else you guys talking about? Where's Daddy Green Bean? Daddy Green Bean was I went on his channel for the halftime show. Or not his, but the Jet Nation channel. So if you want to check that out, you can see me and O'Leary on there at halftime. So I started a new moderator bot in the chat. So this is Streamlabs. So John Prez, I don't know what you were trying to say, but I guess it prevents all caps. So I might have to change that. R.I.P. Bob Saget. Is that actually true? Did Bob Saget pass away? Interesting. Fergal D says, oh, multiple people are saying it. Jeez, what happened? That's sad. Now I got to look this up. What's going on? I got nothing. I don't know what I'm doing. Yes, Saget passed away is what they're saying. Damn. R.I.P. D. Santana says, when is the first mock draft? So I'm going to do a few things this year. I want to release multiple versions of mock drafts based on how free agency could play out. So it might be like, maybe we make a trade for Calvin Ridley, and I say, okay, this is how I would approach our mock draft if if we got Ridley, or maybe I'd do different things. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'll do my mock off season that includes free agency, and then I'll play with a few different things. And then what I'll also do is I'm probably going to do something called Mock the Mock. And it's going to be me going over other people's mock drafts and then kind of breaking down how I feel about it, the different thoughts that they made. And we can always, talk about it. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. I am going to be doing my Tuesday night 10 o'clock mocks after am I going to do it? Do I want to start now? I guess I could start it now. I could start it after the Tuesday stream. So if you guys are a member of the channel, all you have to do, or if you're not a member, somewhere down here, there's a little blue join button. It doesn't matter what tier you are, but if you're a member of the channel, you get all the cool emojis that we do. Plus, you'll be able to see my 10 o'clock mocks that I do for that. That's my little way of getting a few members and also just kind of shooting the shit with some people afterwards. It's awesome. It winds up being like maybe 20 or 30 of us in the stream, and it's like super laid back. Definitely nice. And it's not as like polished. It's very much kind of crazy. But we'll have fun with it. Let's see. So my friend, Three Pedal Garage, sub up his YouTube channel. It's my buddy Andrew. Grew up next door to him. He's like, when are we Venmoing the punter from the Bills $1? It's because of his number, because he kept us in the game. I think that's funny. Although I think more Jet fans would have been upset if we wound up losing or winning that game, because it would have dropped us behind the Giants in the draft board. But what's up, Andrew? Nice having you in here. What else you guys talking about in here? You guys talking about Sauce Gardner better than Stingley. Gohan Angered says, no, the first 2 picks should be defensive end, then trading down with the next pick and picking an offensive lineman. The first 2 picks should be... Oh, okay. So he's saying D-end at 4 and then trading down from number 10 to take an offensive lineman. It depends how you feel about Karlaftis. If you don't love Karlaftis, then maybe you take your edge at 10. The kid from FSU, I've heard a lot of hype about. Have not watched him. But then maybe you wind up going with the trade down at 4, take the edge at 10, and then you get more from the trade down at 4. I think that's the value pick for us, is having someone jump up ahead of the Giants. And I would trade that pick before making the selection, unless you really, really like Karlaftis or one of the other edges. I just saw a funny thing. Where was it? Liberal Irishman says, I'll never accept you, Streamlabs. Nightbot is the GOAT. I think Nightbot's still in there. If I do the command, I think it still pops up. I tried to get the Streamlabs bot to work for like a month ago. Like, this is not like a new thing, and it's only just starting to work, I guess, now for some reason. So I got to figure out how to fine tune it. Landon Han says, edge at 4. My gut says Kayvon Thibodeau falls. I can see that. I could definitely see him falling. I do think Hutch winds up going in the top 3, though. Sauce Gardner or Nakobe Dean at 10. Veteran pass catchers in free agency. We don't need a rookie trying to learn the league and help Zach. Give him a proven, reliable target. That's definitely more along the lines where I fall as well. I think if you can get someone like a Calvin Ridley, a bona fide top 15 receiver when he's on the field, I would go after him, because I would rather have him for a year, sign him to an extension, or franchise tag him and then sign him to an extension, whatever it is, while Zach's on his rookie contract, than taking another receiver and then having to worry about paying Becton and AVT and Wilson and Elijah Moore. And like you start kind of stacking things on one side of the ball. So I can understand people wanting to go that route. Nakobe Dean, if you guys have not watched his highlights, oh man, this guy's fast. He is legit. I would be all about getting him. I like Sauce Gardner a lot. He split his coverages basically in half. I think he was 49.9% in man coverage and 50.1% in zone coverage, and was like fantastic at both. Really good player. So I could see that. I could see that, but I also don't think cornerback is as high of a need right now as I think some of us want it to be. Ryan Thompson says, there is absolute garbage for wide receiver in free agency. Too many injuries, and Ridley seems like a disaster waiting to happen. Ridley is a big gamble. I would think if he's made available, I do think someone at the tail end of the first, like the Patriots or like, maybe Baltimore, if Baltimore winds up trading a player. I think if I read correctly, Ridley played Pop Warner football with Lamar Jackson and Marquise Brown, I think. I could have that mixed up, but I'm pretty sure it was him. Yeah, no Godwin, no Gallup really hurts this free agent class. Devontae Adams isn't going to hit free agency, I don't think. Allen Robinson, I think, will. I don't think he's where I would go. Christian Kirk, I like a lot, but I don't think he's kind of what we need in here. What other receivers are out there? There's a few. There's a few Juju's out there. I don't want Juju. I don't know. It's going to be really tough trying to figure out what to do at wide receiver. And I'm definitely more in the camp of draft at this point because of how weak it was. And I was all for free agent wide receiver. I was Godwin or Gallup all day. And unfortunately, those are the two we wind up losing. Let's see. Jordan Reyes says, how far back are you willing to trade the 4th pick that is looking for a quarterback? And any trade has to include next year's one. Oh, 100%. It would have to include next year's one. That's the only way I'm doing this move. I trade down if you're giving me a first next year. I would say I would go from 4 to 6 with Carolina is possible, just so they can leapfrog the Giants if they're both looking for a quarterback. I would say Atlanta at 8, Denver at 9. Although I would say if I'm going with Carolina, you're probably, if you are getting a first, you're only getting a first. I don't even think you get one at that. I think you probably just get, actually, they don't have a 2nd-round pick because we're just going to own their whole draft class. So maybe Carolina can't jump up, or they might have to give us their first next year, and that's probably all you get. Atlanta at 8, Denver at 9, Washington at 11 are all options. I mean, if you really want that, I would say 11 is as far as I want to go back. Minnesota's not taking a quarterback. Cleveland's not taking a quarterback. Baltimore's not taking a quarterback. You got Philly at back-to-back picks at 15, 16 right now. Neither of those are going to be a quarterback. The Saints and Pittsburgh are both going to need a quarterback, but I don't know. I wouldn't want to go down to pick 17 or 18 right now. And that's where those are currently sitting. It's not locked in place yet, but I would not go that far back. I would say 11 is the farthest I'm willing to fall back, and that's a drop down of 7 slots. Let's see. Draft value chart. Just so I can get an idea of what that kind of move from 4 to 11 would be. So from 4 to 11, you're talking 1,800 points to 1,250. So that is a difference of 550. So basically a 2nd-round pick is the perceived cost. But when you're coming up for a quarterback, there's always going to be that quarterback tax. So I would say a first next year. If you get the first next year plus their first this year, I'm fine with that. I don't need more picks this year. I'm more than willing to pass on picks this season to get more picks in the future. So I have no problem doing that. Give me a first next year, and I'll move down to pick 11, and then just pick 10 and 11. And then you wind up going probably the top receiver on the board and the top interior offensive lineman or edge possibly. Let's see what Tankathon has for their big board right now. So right now they have the Jets. They have Hutchinson 1 to the Jaguars, Thibodeau to number 2 to the Lions, Neal at number 3 to the Texans, Hamilton number 4 to the Jets. Not happening. Karlaftis number 5 to the Giants. I think that would flip. I think Karlaftis goes to the Jets. They have Kenny Pickett going 6 to the Panthers. They have Ike Ekwonu, the very flexible guard from NC State, going to the Giants at 7. I like him a lot. He's someone, if we had to go offensive line, that's a route I think I might consider going because of his versatility. They got Stingley going number 8 to the Lions, or to the Falcons. They got quarterback Matt Corral to the Broncos at 9. And then they have Garrett Wilson, the receiver from Ohio State, going to the Jets at number 10. And I would be very upset if that is what wound up happening. I do not want Garrett Wilson. It's not that I don't think he's going to be good. I just think that both Jamison Williams and London Drake or Treylon Burks, both those guys, all 3 of those, I think are better overall. But I'm kind of getting off track here. I'm all over the place. We were talking post-game, so let's wrap this up. and we'll talk some draft at a later point. Overall, the Jets end up losing to the Bills. Their season falls to 4-13 on the year. Disappointing season for sure. Wanted to see some more wins, but we doubled our win total from last year. We got a quarterback that I think a lot of us are pretty happy with where the development's going at this point. And we're going to surround him with a bunch more talent. We got a bunch of assets coming up in free agency, a bunch of assets coming up in the draft, and we're going to be able to infuse a ton of talent, not to mention all the guys we're getting back from IR this year. So hopefully we're healthier next year. Make sure you guys hang out and tune in. I'm going to be doing a bunch of different videos, draft prospects, mock drafts, free agent predictions. We'll do the F, Marry, Kill series again. That's always fun to do. But guys, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you for tuning into these post-game streams. I've had a lot of fun with you guys throughout the year, no matter how awful some games were. We sat there and did it together. But guys, it's been a lot of fun. My name's Ryan. I've been your pilot. This is Jets Talk signing off. JETS.